Lightning strikes and flash storms have sparked off further forest fires in America. Australian and New Zealand firefighters are now working alongside emergency crews from the US Army, as well as full-time professionals in the battle to contain the fires spreading through the western states. Here's Jane McFarlane.
Reinforcements have arrived, and not before time. 500 firefighters from Canada, New Zealand and Australia joined the almost 25,000 American firefighters currently attempting to contain fires in 11 western states.
They don't have enough crews here, and they're getting exhausted themselves because they've been working on them for so long. So we're basically coming in to give them a break.
One of the biggest obstacles the firefighters face is the problem of dry lighting. Hundreds of new forest fires were reported throughout the American West as more hot, dry weather is forecast. And officials warned that things could get worse before they get better. Workers tried to protect this cabin, the nation's oldest ranger cabin in Montana's Bitterroot Valley, by stapling fireproof material to it. But among the devastation, there was one bit of good news, with the residents who live south of the town of Helena in Montana told it's safe to return home.
You'll be all right, Mom.
Has it got down that far yet?
No, it's moving, but it'll be all right, I think.
But for the other threatened communities in the American West, they can but wait and hope that they too will be as fortunate. Jane McFarlane, ITN.
It was to have been her last trip abroad before she settled down. Jane McFarlane reports.
The funeral of Kirsty Jones, the British backpacker who was raped and murdered, is due to take place today. The 23-year-old will be buried this afternoon at St Billows Church in Powys, Mid Wales, 3 miles from where she grew up. The service is expected to be packed with friends. The Liverpool University graduate was murdered shortly after she returned to the RE hostel in the northern Thai city of Chiang Mai at about midnight on August the 10th. But her body lay undiscovered on the floor of the hostel where she died for almost 15 hours. But as Kirsty's funeral goes ahead, the hunt for her killer goes on. So far, the Thai police have failed to find her killer and have come under accusation that their investigations was bungling and shambolic. The chief police investigator was removed from the case for failing to make any progress. DNA tests have cleared 5 foreign nationals of any involvement. The manager of the guest house where she was staying and her tour guide remain the prime suspects, although DNA tests on the pair have so far failed to prove any link. Jane McFarlane, ITN.
If you're planning a little hill climbing this weekend, spare a thought for Rod Baber. He's coming home after becoming the fastest man to climb the highest peak of every European country, 47 in all. It took him 2.5 years, and he braved Chechen rebels and unexploded mines in Kosovo to do it. Jane McFarlane reports.
The trigger for Rob Barber's expedition came like many bright ideas do, relaxing over a drink in the pub after a long, hard day in the office. Only most of us have usually forgotten all about it by the morning after. But that wasn't the case with this 29-year-old former city worker who has just pulled off a mountaineering feat, once thought impossible, to climb every mountain peak in Europe. Rob's daring achievement has also guaranteed him a place in the Guinness Book of Records after shaving 4 years off the previous record. He attributes his success to sheer persistence.
We spent 2.5 years and we've worked really hard at completing this project, and it's been completed, so I think persistence definitely pays.
The first 44 were completed in just 5 months, but a few setbacks meant it was over 2 years before he finished the remaining 3. Rod won't be hanging up his climbing boots just yet, for his next challenge is to climb the highest peak in every country in the world. But for now, he's off to fulfil his current odyssey, back in the pub where it all began. Jane McFarlane, ITN. Switch on the news over the past 5 years, and the chances are the lead story would be about some kind of crisis. Foot and mouth, fuel blockades, terror alerts. The world today is a very uncertain place. You have to expect the unexpected. You can't always predict a crisis, but you can prepare for one. And that's what this video is all about. I'll be speaking to some of the key players in our organisation to establish the company's plans for dealing with emergencies and what we all need to do to be prepared. Nick Franks is the man ultimately responsible for ensuring that, no matter what the emergency, it's business as usual. So can you tell me, to begin with, Nick, why is it important to have a business continuity plan in place?
Well, I think this day and age, none of us is immune from a crisis.
OK, so now we know what an emergency is, what exactly do we do when faced with one? 12-year-old Keith Bennett went missing in 1964, one of the victims of the Moors murders. His mother, Winnie Johnson, will never forgive or forget. Do you think that Myra will get her freedom?
Well, if she does it, we've got to help her, because she won't last 5 minutes. There's somebody who'll be waiting for her to kill her.
How many years after Keith was discovered missing did you find out that Ian Brady and Myra Hindley had something to do with it?
21 years afterwards.
So what exactly is the patron saint of liberal causes doing, putting God in the dock?
You're wildly dismissive of the Bible in your book, but surely some of these stories were written so that they would be understood by a wider audience.
The Old Testament is a collection of mostly mythical stories written by different hands at different times. There's no one unifying author or editor of the Bible. And there are more miracles that take place in the Old Testament than in the New.
These trees here in the Garden of Gethsemane are 2,600 years old. They're known to the locals as the witness trees, as they witnessed the betrayal and arrest of Jesus the night before his crucifixion. While his disciples kept watch, Jesus prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Then he returned to his disciples and said, "Are you still sleeping? The hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed." Should Third World debt be cancelled? Some 50,000 people have converged here in Birmingham to lobby the meeting of world leaders at the G8 summit to urge them to do just that. As a government minister with a long-standing interest in Third World campaigning, what are your views on this Jubilee 2000 event?
I think it's completely fabulous that so many people have come to Birmingham, and they've come from every corner of the country.
Well, that's it from Icon for this year. We'll be back next year again at our usual slot. All that's left for me to say is to wish our viewers a very happy New Year.